It says people do I let people in? I don't think so. Hello! If you're joining us, drop in the chat so we know you're here. See some familiar faces. Hello! Let us know if you can hear us or me. See. Yeah. Hello! I see 3. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello. If you want to tell us where you're watching from today while we let a couple of people come in, that'd be great. I can see some people. Where you're coming from? Los Angeles, LA. Are you ready for the Olympics? I'm still on the Olympics high, and the Paralympics start tomorrow, I think. So that's exciting. Denver, Alabama. Hello, Alabama friends. Oh, we got some more Birmingham, Alabama. Whoop whoop. All right. Let's see. Wow. Yay, yay, yay. North Carolina. Okay, very cool. I'll give it just a few more minutes for everybody to be joining in. Make sure you can hear us. Got your notifications turned off. Got a notepad, or if you take it online, whatever you got. All right. Are you good? Should we start?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. All right.
Good.
We don't want to waste anyone's time. Welcome, everybody. All right. Hello, and welcome to the Homepage Blueprint Designing for Success webinar from Rising Tide Society and Lawson House. We are so glad you are here. My name is Debbie Cullum, and I have been a member of Rising Tide since 2015. I lead the Birmingham chapter. Shout out. I've been leading this chapter since 2021. And so, and behind the scenes, I am the event committee chair. So I get to help plan fun events behind the scenes. We have a lot coming, so stay tuned. And also, when I'm not with my Rising Tide family, I am a wedding and portrait photographer here in Birmingham, Alabama. So, yay, we're so glad you're here. We're kicking off our first ever quarterly webinar today. And so I'm so excited that you're here. We are so passionate about supporting small business owners, and one of the biggest ways we can do that is through these free educational webinars. In this month's webinar, the Homepage Blueprint, Designing for Success, Caroline Lewis from Lawson House will share the essential features to include on your homepage. So when the Rising Tide Society first became a nonprofit last year, Lawson House was one of the first organizations to step in and raise their hands and open their hearts to support our community. They created the beautiful branding that you see all over our Rising Tide stuff. They have created many educational offerings, including today's webinar, blogs, social media posts with tips, and much more. They were also one of their very first affiliate partners, so we are so grateful for their support. So drop some like woohoo in the chat to thank them for their support. There will be more coming later this year, but we're so excited to kick off our series with our partner Lawson House today. Just a few housekeeping rules, notes. Please utilize the chat to ask questions, share insights, cheer on our speakers, whatever you're feeling today. Our moderators will also be in the chat to help answer what they can, provide quick links to our speaker, provide their freebies. Yep, we've got some more freebies, and Rising Tide updates and more. So hope to see that chat going. And don't forget to share where you're listening from. Tag us in your social media posts today, Rising Tide Society and Lawson House Agency. Share your favorite quotes. We can't wait to see what you learned today. I know it's going to be peeked inside. So there's going to be so many great, useful information coming from Caroline today. So yes, if you're just now joining us, drop where you're coming from in the chat. We see people from all over. It's so cool to connect all the chapters across the globe here. So welcome again, and let's get started. I would love to introduce you to our speaker, Caroline Lewis from Lawson House. Caroline is the CEO of Lawson House and one of the leading minds behind our agency's effective website designs and strategic branding. She has helped hundreds of small business owners lay a strong digital foundation for their business with high converting homepage designs. If you have any questions for Caroline during their session, please pop them in the chat and save them for her to answer at the end or throughout. She's going to be great. So let's give a big welcome to Caroline, and I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome.
Yay!
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Debbie, and for the Rising Tide community for just being such a wonderful partner this far, for all the opportunity that we've gotten to experience with you guys, and for just hosting this wonderful webinar and asking our team to represent today. So really excited to dive into the homepage blueprint. Like Debbie said, I'll be pausing throughout for questions. Drop those in the chat. I'll try to make sure we answer those all by the end, but really excited for all we have in here. All right, give me 1 second so I can pull up my screen and then we will dive right in. Awesome. So today we will be going through the homepage blueprint. This is everything you need to know about your homepage, how to set your website up for success in every way possible. We want to make sure that you have thought through how to leverage your target audience, how to engage them, and how to really drive sales and dollars to your business in every way possible through your website. So diving right in today, we will be covering your header essentials, and then we will go into the individualized homepage sections, and then we've got questions and a fun freebie for you at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. But to start off with header essentials, going into the problems we often see in websites, they fail to answer 3 main questions. So who you are, what you do, and how to get started. The reason these questions are so important is because you want your target audience to see, all right, who are you? What do you do? What does this mean to me? And what do next steps look like? A lot of websites will often answer 1 or 2 of these pieces, but we want to make sure all 3 are covered, so that way they're getting all the information right away. As you've heard, you don't have much time to capture people's attention in this day and age. It's said that you have about 8 seconds to capture someone's attention on your website. So this is why all of what I'm about to say is so important, because you want to make sure you're capturing the attention of potential customers, clients, so that way you are engaging them and leveraging them in the best way possible. So we've looked at a lot of heat maps, a lot of websites over the years. Lawson House has been doing this for 4 years, and I would say one of the most transformational times in the online industry. Want to make sure that we are leveraging each one of these pieces in the right way. So taking a look at this sitemap here, we always follow this Z-line formation. So as you can see, number 1, 2, come across the page to 3 is where we're kind of following this Z shape to engage and inform your potential client as they land on your website. So starting with number 1, this is where we want to start addressing brand awareness. So this is things like your logo, what you do, and this information here. Coming across the page, we've got your navigation bar. So that will include all of the pages that you have on your website, guiding them on how they could navigate through your website. Then landing at number 2 here. So this is where the CTA button is. Don't worry about taking notes on all of these pieces. I'm going to dive into each one of these numbers, but this is giving you the high level view here. And then coming across the page, number 3 is where we'll go into your main message. So this is where we want to highlight exactly what is covered, what is your website is about, what your business is about, and dive into all of that. So going into each one of these pieces, we're going to break all of this down. So like I said, number 1 is your logo placement. This is where brand awareness becomes most important. As you saw on that heat map, people's eyes often first go to that top left-hand corner. We highly recommend keeping your logo in that top left-hand corner or the center of the page here. Either one of those places is great. This allows for your user to know that they're in the right place when they land on your website. So you want to make sure that whether they heard about you from a friend, a coworker on Instagram, whenever they tap that link or type it into Google, they know that they've landed in the right space because they see that logo that they've heard about or seen in other places, and they've confirmed that they are in the right place. This also helps with brand recognition. So with your logo being there, you're also starting to associate if they did hear about you on social media and they tapped the link in your story highlight. They are starting to recognize, all right, this is the brand who said this on social media, and now they're landing in the right place. They're starting to recognize who you are, what your logo looks like, and starting to build that association there. Now jumping to the CTA button. So coming across the page, following that Z formation again, this is where we get into your call to action. That's what CTA stands for. And this is what you want the primary action for users to take on your website. Now, this can look like a lot of different things depending on your industry, depending on your process, depending on the way you work with your clients or want to work with them. So the language here can vary. It doesn't have to be the same. There's not necessarily one right CTA button language. It can vary depending on how you work with your clients. So for example, if you're a business coach and you want people just to put time on your calendar, schedule call may be the best CTA for you. So that could look like them going directly to a Calendly link or an Acuity link, some sort of scheduler where they're putting time on your calendar right away. If you put in something like getting started, a lot of interior designers or more hands-on service providers will put something like that, where you're filling out a form. You're not necessarily, you're having to qualify yourself or you're wanting to qualify your clients before you are getting in touch with them. This could look like asking questions, gathering more information. That's when getting started is typically the best. For our Launch 38 site, we went the route of apply now. We wanted to make sure we were filtering through who was applying for the program to make sure they were the right fit, and we were providing them the best service. So apply now was the primary CTA we chose, and we want to make sure that this is consistent throughout the site. Now, I do want to note there are other options for other CTAs on your site. This does not mean you have to have every single button say apply now. You can have secondary CTAs, things like a learn more button under your team section if you want about or meet the team. If you've got that section on your website, you can guide them to additional pages throughout your site and have those as secondary CTAs. You just want to make sure whatever your primary CTA is, you're consistent with, not only from a language perspective, but also from a visual perspective. So what this can look like is here you see that we've got this high contrast color here. So it very much stands out. You've got a clear shape and you want to make sure that that is consistent throughout. So as users see that button, they're mentally associating and saying, that's where I need to take action. That's where I can take my next step. A lot of users will want to guide their eyes through that too. So they know that if they read this information, there may be another button down here, and we'll go through where that button placement is as we get into more sections, but that is setting the standard for that shape, the high contrast, and what that button says. So that is where the CTA button can be super crucial to when they land on your header of your website, they know exactly what to do, what action to take, and it's setting the precedent for the rest of the page. And then coming to number 3. So this is where the language starts to get super important. Messaging on your website can make or break everything. I'm sure as many of you know, you want to make sure you are clear on what you do and why it matters to your clientele. So what that looks like is you want to make sure that you've got a clear line. So for example, Lawson House's Express Marketing Program. This clearly states exactly what you do. This doesn't mean this has to be the first and foremost sentence that they read on your site or things like that. We typically actually recommend starting with a message that says, here's what I do and here's why you should care about this. And what I mean by that is here we've got create your message, brand, website, and strategy all in 1 week. So this is more about them and less about you. So here, when I say that, I mean, they're learning in this statement exactly what they are going to get from working with you, what their outcome may be. This is super important in a lot of website language, is a lot of website copy is written about the business and about how great they are, what they do. And we want to make sure that that is highlighted in a really clear way of the opposite of how actually you serve your clients really well and putting them first and foremost. Because as they start to read this language, they can see that they get to see that you are thinking about them. They get to start envisioning themselves as a potential client of yours and what that means. We want to make sure also within this language, your competitive advantage is highlighted as well. So whether you are a interior designer that specializes in one room turnarounds in one day, or you are a business coach that can expedite someone's business plan by a certain amount of time. It doesn't always have to be time related, but whatever your competitive advantage is, you want to make sure that that is highlighted right away as well. So the way we've emphasized this is in 1 week, that there's a lot of people who offer marketing programs or website development or brands, but a lot of them take time, and that's absolutely important to their process. And it may be that you want to highlight that it's completely custom or that it's completely unique to you, or there's lots of strategy involved. But with our offering here, we've got it. Our advantage is that it's completed in 1 week. We know that entrepreneurs don't have lots of time. We wanted to make sure that that was highlighted. So we utilized a design element here to emphasize this main message. So as users land on the site, again, they're getting all of this information right away. Now, another piece I want to make sure we highlight in this section as well is for SEO purposes. It's really helpful to have a statement that says what you do and where you serve. So right away, we want to make sure we're clarifying the location base. If you're a location-based service, it's super effective to have, if you're a wedding photographer in Nashville, Tennessee, putting that into your main message here is super helpful for SEO purposes to identify where you serve, and not just for SEO purposes, but it allows your user to come across your page and say, oh, this person services this area. This applies to me. And it allows for that clarity piece throughout all of your messaging. So I've got another example in here I want to talk through and just show you guys how this is applied in another way outside of our website example. So she's got her logo right up here. We've got her button, her CTA button here. So this clarifies how to get in touch with her, and then her main message here. So it doesn't always have to be tons of wording. It doesn't have to be a paragraph of explanation, but having the language build your brand in a strategic way is allowing to clarify right away what she does and how she serves her clients. And it's also, this is a great example of what I was mentioning earlier with putting your clients first. She's using language by build your brand and putting that kind of second person language right out front. So it's putting that clientele in a position where they could think about themselves as a potential customer right away. So I see the chat blowing up. I want to make sure that we've got an opportunity to jump into some questions here. So I want to pause here for just a minute and go through a few questions that you guys may have so we can answer any of this or think through any of this out loud. Awesome. Lots of affirmation in the chat. So I'm glad that this is being so helpful and that a lot of people are learning a lot about the header of the website. Feel free to drop any other questions you have in here as I keep going. I'm not seeing any off the top of the list here, so I'll keep walking through. And if you guys have any other questions, we will stop again at the end. Awesome. So what we just covered is everything about the header, or sometimes people call it the hero section of your website. So that is the top section of your website. What we're going to cover now is the sections that follow. So we're going to break down each one of what we recommend is our signature sections that we highly recommend including on your homepage. So like I said, we just touched on this hero section. So here, seeing it here in a little bit further breakdown. What we're going to cover now is going through these additional sections on your website. So first thing I want to touch on here is, as you can see that there's 8 sections here. This is, I would say, more uncommon than what most people would recommend. We highly recommend, and I've seen a lot of success with having longer home pages. So this is why we recommend 8, sometimes even 10 sections on your home page. The intention behind this is to keep people on your page as long as possible. So as you have more sections, that encourages more scrolling. They're getting more engaged with the information you're providing with them, and you're guiding their eye through the page utilizing buttons. So like I mentioned earlier with that CTA button, you can see how this is used consistently throughout the site in the same color, style, and you're guiding them to say, all right, here's how we can serve you in this way. Here's what we have to offer here. And it's utilizing those buttons and visuals to supplement what you have written in text to guide the user throughout the page, ultimately keeping them on the page longer with the hope of them taking action sooner. So with each one of these sections, I would love to break down each one of these sections, what's included in them, and why we utilize them. So I'm going to dive into first what we call our informative section. So these three sections are super important when it comes to informing your user. So going back to at the very beginning when I mentioned those three things that are often missed on the site, what you do, who you serve, and how you do it. This is falling into that what you do category. So we want to make sure that it's really clear on how you do what you do, because that could be your competitive advantage. That could be a make or break, whether you are a wedding photographer that has all-inclusive packages, you show up for every step of the day, you show up for your engagement session, it's all-inclusive. You want to make sure that that is clarified right away so users know if that's what they're looking for, they're connecting with that. So lots of websites, I would say almost everyone will include these sections somewhere on their website, but not are they often included on their homepage. A lot of these sections are often found on an about page or at the bottom of a services page, things like that, where we want to make sure we're leveraging this on your homepage because it gives your user more reasons to connect with you and learn more about what you do right from the very beginning. That way they don't have to click to other pages. They're not missing out on important information you have to offer. So the way we've broken this down here is we've got your kickstart your side hustle or small business with a professional level online brand. So this is emphasizing what we outlined in that first main message of creating the brand messaging website in 1 week. This is elaborating on more why you should trust us, what we have to offer you, and breaking down more of that process. And then going into our mission. So here we chose to leverage a video to go through our mission. Mission statements and the mission behind businesses can often be a very emotional opportunity to connect with your audience. So we want to make sure that you're leveraging it that in a way that feels most natural to your audience. So if you want it to be a very personalized experience and you want to know that it's not just someone delivering something behind a screen, you may never talk to them, a video is a great way to set that connection precedent right away. In the digital day and age we live in, any opportunity to get a face in front of another human is always a benefit. So we chose to leverage a video here. This doesn't have to be something you utilize. I think words can be really strong here as well, leveraging your mission statement, but ultimately having your mission outlined here on your homepage allows you to connect with users who align with your mission and what you do to serve your clientele well. And then going into who you serve, I think that this is a section that can be leveraged in a lot of really great ways, but I think the biggest piece here I want you guys to hear me say is that calling out who you serve isn't a bad thing. I think it's a really great thing to say, I am a wedding photographer for DIY brides, or I am a wedding photographer for whoever your target audience is. And saying that in a very explicit way allows the user to say, I'm in the right place. This is for me. I identify with what they're explaining here. So with Launch 38, using that as an example, we built this for side hustlers, 9-to-5 quitters, people who were looking to quickly redo their brand. It didn't have a ton of time or money to invest in this process. So by clearly identifying these people, they are able to say, yes, that's me. This is even another reason to say yes to the product or the service overall, because they are seeing themselves in the shoes of a potential client or customer of yours. Other sections to not miss out on here is we want to make sure that your process, past work, and deliverables are all highlighted on your homepage as well. Again, these are sections that are often not included or included at the bottom of service pages, things like that. But pulling these sections into the homepage allow your homepage to start to have some authority to it. Not only is it just saying, hey, here's what I do, here's why you should trust me, but it allows you to say, I am an expert in my field and other people believe so. Other people have hired me. What this looks like can be a lot of different ways depending on the industry you're in or the way that you want to leverage this information per your services. But having these outlines on here allow you to establish your authority and your trust within your community as quickly as possible. So starting with our process. So they've made it through the page. They've said, all right, I know what you do. I know who you serve. How do you do this? What do next steps look like if we work together? And I think having this clarity, we've seen go a really long way, from anywhere someone as detailed as an architect to someone as straightforward as a influencer who you know that there's not necessarily a direct route of working with them, but having each one of these really clear, complicated processes, or really complicated processes and really clear processes, no matter what your process is, including it on here and setting the expectation of what it's like to work with you allows your user to say, all right, I can picture myself. I'm continuing down this path of, all right, if I was a customer, here's what it would look like to work with them. Here's what next steps look like. It just allows for this clarity that brings, it allows for clarity to bring the next steps to the table without having them to contact you first. It allows them to know what to expect right away and know that they're a good fit without having to communicate that with you. So that clarity piece can provide so much value to someone who's searching to make a big decision on whatever service you have to offer. Moving into past work here. So leveraging your past work, it can be super helpful. It not only allows people to recognize your style or the complexity of projects you've worked on, but it also allows you to say, hey, I have done this before and here's how it went. And allows you to start to leverage some of that. If past work isn't something you have, you're a new business launching, there's a lot of ways you can continue to leverage this. You could pull in, we have a lot of interior designers who pull in mood boards and say, here's what styling a home could look like with me. It's kind of showing those early on phases going deeper into the process. It also could be pulling in any sort of press or vendors that you work with, anything else that associates you with someone else who could vouch for you allows this authority piece to go way up. It allows that trust piece to go way up. So you're creating these connections with not only your business, but other businesses in a lot of ways. Deliverables and services. So we highly recommend including this on your homepage. This can be a super important piece to how you leverage what you do. So often you'll see a lot of people will have a separate service page. That's awesome. And I highly recommend keeping that on top of including this on your homepage. And this doesn't mean you have to include every single detail of your services or deliverables on your homepage, but it allows them to see a high level view of what kinds of services you offer. So that way they can know that you are a good fit for what they're looking for. So all of these pieces start to build more trust, more authority, and become more informative as you go. The piece that is often skipped on, and section that is often skipped on, is testimonials. I cannot preach enough how important testimonials are on your homepage. We always get asked, should I have testimonials? How many should I include? We recommend 3 to 5 testimonials on your homepage. If you have more, great, include them. We don't often see users read more than 3 to 5. Once they've read 3 quality testimonials, they feel like that is a good fit. But with testimonials, it allows to, once they've made it down the page, to say, all right, I know what you do. You've been trusted by other brands. Here's real life experience to emphasize everything that they've just read on your homepage. This is really where that you can start to kind of hit that home run feeling throughout the homepage, is saying, all right, this is how we really take it to the next level. And then going deeper into what the testimonial can include is, as you ask past clients or people or vendors or partners that you've worked with to fill out these testimonials, leveraging what they talk about is super important as well. If you have the opportunity to say, hey, here's the questions I would love for you to ask or answer, not ask, here's the questions I would love for you to answer. Take that opportunity and say, I would love to address the problem that I solved for you. So in this testimonial example here, my time is caught up in building my business. So there's the problem right there. He has no time. That is where Launch 38 for me stepped in. I got a logo, a website, and a full content calendar, which left me with more time to focus on what is actually important. So the problem that Launch 38 solved for him was we got him a logo, a website, and a full content calendar that allowed him to get time back in his day, but fulfill a need that he had. So if you are able to, in your industry or with your clientele, say, here's the problem I was having. I wasn't finding a event planner I felt like I could trust. I wasn't finding this person in this industry that was solving this problem for me, or I was having this problem outside of this person. What does that look like to get that problem solved, and what does it look like for you to solve that problem specifically? Also, if you have the opportunity to leverage a video, I highly recommend it. Again, what I was saying about the Our Mission section, it allows for that personal connection, that real life experience on the testimonial side of things. So if you have a couple that you did a shoot for, if you have the opportunity for them to sit down and film a 30-second video, they don't ever have to be fancy videos. They can be iPhone videos. They can be even just voice recordings, anything that has that personal touch. We highly recommend embedding that into your website to just have a little bit more of that human connection. The other question I get often about testimonials is, should I include their name? If they're comfortable with it, I highly recommend including it. It allows for the potential customer or user who's reading this to say, this was a real person. I did see who included this. Always ask permission to make sure that they're comfortable with using their name. But if they aren't, if you're able to use just their first name, last initial, or if you're able to associate them with a brand or a company as a whole, anything that has that personal connection is a great way to leverage those testimonials and build that extreme trust and authority within your audience as they go through your homepage. Last section here, the section that is often skipped and highly recommend as well, is your final CTA. So this is where they've made it through the entire homepage. If they've made it to the bottom of your homepage, they're pretty high intent at this point. They're engaged, they've read through what you have to offer, they know what you do, and you've got an opportunity to hit them with this CTA one more time and say, hey, here's where you can take your next step. If you're ready, put everything in front of them. So if that is schedule a call, if you want them to fill out a form, or if you want it to be something a little less direct, if you want it to be a newsletter sign up, or something where you're just engaging with them, having them take some sort of initial next step. This is a great way to hit them one more time with that CTA before they hit the footer of your website. So that way you hope that you can capture their information or some way to get in touch with them as they continue through the journey of potentially becoming a customer of yours. So transitioning to all of this, after covering everything that we've covered about the sections on the homepage, the hero section, we want to go into some questions. So homepages are absolutely custom to each person, each industry, each service. We want to make sure that we're following this outline and this structure, but I want to open the floor to some questions and kind of talk through anything you guys may have. But before we go to full open questions here, this is the most common question I get on websites, is should I include pricing? So I want to start by answering this question, and then we'll dive into the rest of y'all's questions. So with pricing, I highly recommend that whenever you are including pricing, you always want to make sure that the value of your service is explicitly explained before you include pricing. So in this example here, we include our pricing on our Launch 38 website because we've gone through each one of these sections and said, here's what's included, here's what you get, here's what other people have said. The value of this product is very well explained. If it's something that's a lot more custom or something that you want to make sure you're having conversations with your clients before booking with them, then I don't recommend including pricing on your page. That's a call that we highly recommend you considering in the process of your business. A lot of times, if you include pricing and there's not enough value to support that pricing, people just see the number and they move away, or if that's not in the price range that they had in mind. So with pricing, ultimately, you want to make sure that there's enough value included alongside the price to support the pricing that you have on here. So as users are seeing the price point, that makes sense for them to take that next step. So with that question answered, would love to open the floor to other questions that you guys have about your homepage.
Hey, Caroline, can you hear me?
Yeah,
It's Debbie. There are a few in the chat. So do
awesome.
you want me to read a couple
That would
for
be
you
great.
or?
Yes, it's
Okay,
little
let's
tiny
see.
on my screen, so it'll be easier if you read them.
Yes, yes. Sorry, it jumps around. Okay, let me go back. All right, some of the questions in the chat. Okay, what if I don't have images for my site?
So if you are a new business starting off and you don't have any images to support what you do or anything like that, that's totally okay. We have clients come to us like that all the time. We have quite a few commercial-free stock imagery platforms that we like to leverage. That way you can start to pull some imagery on your site that feels like your clientele is sending the message you want, and you don't have to invest into a photography shoot right away. However, I highly recommend doing that when you are at that point in your business and ready to take that step. Imagery is something that can extremely enhance the website experience to say, all right, visually alongside all of this text that we just talked about, visually, what does it look like to work with you? How does that relationship feel? What is the outcome? If you're a doctor in the holistic space, then having happy, healthy clients showing on your website, I think that that's a great way to leverage that. But if you don't have that imagery of your own, leveraging stock imagery is great. There's so many great options out there. Finding the right images can take some time, but leveraging those images for your website and ultimately for your ideal clientele, no matter those are stock or your own, is more important about creating the visual experience that complements what you do rather than them being your own images versus stock.
Very sweet. I love that. Okay, next one is, should our main call to action lead to another page on our website, like a contact page, or should it lead directly to a lead magnet, like an inquiry form or Google form?
Great question. So I would say this is a very situational answer, but I would say generally speaking, whatever is best for your client's onboarding process. If there are questions you need answered before you can start working with them or before you could even have more of a conversation. For example, if you're an interior designer in Birmingham, Alabama, and your client's inquiring you from Huntsville, you may need to know that if you're able to travel to them or things like that. So if there are barriers to entry like that, like location or things like that, we highly recommend having a form like that. If you don't have questions like that that have to be answered and they can fill out a few simple questions and then schedule a call right away, we highly recommend making it as direct to you as possible. So, or direct to the end goal as possible. So you're not putting too many steps in their way to talk to you or start a conversation or fill out a form. As many as the least amount of steps possible in that process is the best way to go.
I like that. That's super, yeah, make it easy. Okay, what about testimonials? Should they be sprinkled throughout your homepage or should they all be located in one spot?
That's a great question. If you have enough testimonials to sprinkle a few throughout, I would recommend pulling a few more throughout your homepage. What that could look like is having a highlight of your past work and a testimonial all in one section. I don't recommend putting too many in there because then it feels like you are tooting your own horn a little bit and it doesn't feel like they're getting the information that is about them or solving what they're looking for. So I would say not more than 2 to 3 sections on your homepage, including testimonials. I will say if you're getting into additional landing pages, things like that, that's a different approach. But for your homepage, I would say not more than 2 to 3 sections, including testimonials, will typically be helpful in the end overall user experience.
Love that. I love that. Okay, would all of this make the home page look cluttered?
It's a great question. that's where design and overall strategy come into play. So you want to make sure that you are spacing things out nicely. You're not putting it all in condensed sections. So you want to make sure that you've got a really nice layout. When we design our home pages, we look at them at a bird's eye view first and bold the sections and then go into the detailed sections and refine them. So we want to make sure that you are not creating a cluttered homepage, that you're creating something that feels airy, that feels digestible. And the way you can utilize your copy can shape all of that as well. So some users and some business owners like to have more fuller paragraphs of copy, while others like to have 1 to 2 lines of copy. You can leverage both in really non-overwhelming ways. But depending on what your services are and how much information you feel like you need to provide, you can leverage all of this. Typically, what this does is just add length to that homepage to space it out a little bit more, which again is great because our goal is to keep users on the homepage as long as possible. Now, you don't want it to be forever long, but having a little bit more of that space will allow them to engage, to process what they're looking at, and hopefully encourage that scrolling.
Sweet. Yes, I love that. And I was so fascinated at the beginning when you said 8 seconds to capture their attention. I was like, "What?"
It
Don't
goes
go look at
fast.
my link. Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. I've got 2 more right now, and they're still coming. So, SEO tips for my homepage. Could you give us a couple more? I know you gave us one, so
Yeah, absolutely. So with SEO and the current Google algorithm, a lot of what Google is liking to see is everything authentic and created by you. So any opportunity, like I mentioned, to plug in more of those videos, those testimonials, if you offer a service where there is a before and after, things like that, where you can show your hands-on experience, is great. Google knows when there are people's faces on the site. They scan for things like that within the images, within the videos, and that allows for an authentic experience. And the more sites that have more of that authentic content on there, they're actually promoting more of that right now. A few other SEO pieces is to continue to embed location tags throughout if you're a location-based service. That is super helpful, like I mentioned in the homepage header, continuing that throughout your page. And then SEO goes much beyond your homepage as well, I'm sure, as many of you know. So those are the few pieces that we highly recommend on the homepage, is having that location-based information. Any keywords about specific services are also great. So if you are an interior designer, but you also offer virtual design services, using tags like that within your copy will allow Google to start to recognize some of those keywords on your site as well.
very cool. Yes, all the things to get us seen. Okay, how many of these homepage sections need to have their own subpage on the site?
That's a great question. I would say about 4 of them. And the few that come to mind is our mission will typically lead to the about page. The services section will typically lead to the services page. The contact section or next step section will typically lead to the contact page. And then the one that's often missed is building out a separate process page. So for that process section, if you have a detailed process or your service is based a lot around your process, I highly recommend building out that process page as well, because that allows you to go into depth and show some examples of what it is really like to work with you and break down that high level process that you include on the homepage and go into more depth on that individualized page.
Perfect. Anyone else got any more questions? I think we've answered them all. My chat's kind of going crazy, so if I've missed some, I'm so sorry. Drop it again and we'll answer that for sure.
These are all great questions.
Yeah, they like killing it today. You're on top of it. Someone said this is so helpful. Thanks, Caroline. Who is taking so many notes? Me. I have like an entire notebook right now. So this
Awesome.
is so,
Awesome.
so,
I'm
so
so glad.
helpful.
I'm so glad. Um,
Oh, and do you want to mention your freebie? I hear
yes.
there's a
So that's where
freebie.
I was
Yeah.
transitioning to. Perfect
Yes.
timing. So We've got a QR code here you can scan. We'll also drop the link in the chat, but this will go over your homepage checklist. So this covers everything you need to know about your homepage. So that way you can apply this to your homepage, looking at it side by side. It's always great to hear things like this, but then you have to go and sit down to your homepage. What edits do I need to make? What section should I pull in? So hopefully this will help guide you through step by step of what you want to add or include to your homepage. We also will be selecting 5 people randomly from those who download the freebie to receive a custom website audit. So what this looks like is I will go through your homepage with this same approach and say, all right, here's where you can improve on your messaging. Here's where you can improve on your CTA. It'll be through a screen recording video. So it'll be all my thoughts. You can download the video and save that to apply it to yours. So make sure that you download the homepage checklist to be entered into that giveaway for the 5 custom website audits.
Yay, that's so awesome. I love that. And the
Awesome.
freebie, everything is so helpful. Okay, very cool. I think with the freebie link has been, you can scan the QR code. You can also, it's been dropped in the chat. There was one more question that popped up.
Yeah.
Do you offer this service to small businesses? I know there was a little bit confusion on Launch 38 and Lawson House, so maybe you can help explain that and then how they can get in touch with you. We'll drop your email in here again too.
Perfect.
It's just been going crazy in the chat. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. So Lawson House and Launch 38 are programs that we offer. Lawson House is our main company. Launch 38 is Lawson House's express marketing program. So Launch 38 is made for entrepreneurs who are looking to get their branding website messaging done quickly and as budget friendly as possible. So it's like you saw, in 1 week, we do all of these deliverables for you. So that's one way you can work with us. If you're looking for a more strategic, customized approach, you can work with Lawson House to build out your custom homepage and build out all of the other pages through custom development. We custom code all of our websites. So there's 2 ways that you can kind of start to apply this through working with Lawson House. Launch 38 follows these same metrics. It's just a little bit more of a quick turn process. As we know, lots of entrepreneurs have so much going on in their life and they need a website like yesterday. So that is why we created that program. But we've also got the more custom strategic approach with Lawson House's custom websites as well.
Yay, very helpful. Oh, we have one more question coming in.
Awesome.
I have a customized website on WordPress. Can you help with that, or do you have a particular platform that you use?
Yeah, so we work with pretty much any website platform. There's not necessarily ones we don't work with. If you're looking to switch platforms, we help with that process as well. So we can work with you in almost any way possible.
That's awesome. I know there's so many great options. It's just finding the one that fits you and your
Yes.
time well.
Exactly.
You and your business well. Yes. Okay. Last call for questions. We're gonna drop Caroline's contact information one more time. So if you have anything once you're thinking about, oh, I didn't get to ask this question, you can totally ask it. Email them, follow them on social media, tag them in today, something you learned. Shout out if you get the 5 people to audit. I can't wait to see that. There's a code in there, all sorts of great stuff. So make sure you're looking at the chat. So if there aren't any more questions, someone's saying pick me. So perfect. Well, thank you, Caroline, so much for your wisdom, sharing your wisdom with us today. This was amazing. I learned so much. I have like so many notes right now.
Amazing.
So
I love it.
We'll be diving back in and watching the replay for sure to make sure my webpage is up to date. On that note, let's share the links. I think Wendy's already done that for Lawson House and their homepage checklist freebie one last time. So don't miss it. And then, yes, if you are looking for your local Rising Tide chapter, we'll post that in there. Make sure you're in our main Facebook group. You're following us on Instagram. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming in the remainder of this year, and we're already prepping for 2025. So watch out. Lots of great online education for everyone. So we hope this is very helpful for you. Thank you again, Caroline. You're so amazing. And let's see, if you want to post in the chat something that your favorite part from today, please share on social media, tagging Rising Tide Society and Lawson House Agency. Our next webinar is coming up in November. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you are signed up for our newsletters and on social media so you can be a part of that. And we hope that this helps you as our Rising Tide community to grow into strong and awesome businesses. And yes. So was there anything else I need to check one more time? There's 4 new messages. Everyone's thanking. Yep, November, check out. We're going to do these quarterly, so get excited. And they'll tie into all of the resources that are out there on Rising Tide. So, yes, I think that was it. Wendy, I don't know if you want to pop in and give me the good. Are we good? Is everybody good?
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Caroline. Y'all have a great Tuesday. We'll see you
You
next time.
too. You too. Bye.